Hi guys, Big P here again from Rains on Performance. Today I bring you the E500 Avantgarde W211, boasts 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds and just over 300 brake horsepower. Absolute beast of a car. Let's show you around the car, go for a little drive in it, see what you think. I personally think it's a lovely car, very comfortable to drive, very powerful, the power's there, it's always there when you need it. But we'll go for a little rip in it and see what you think, and I'll show you around the car. So there we have it, chaps, the E500 Avantgarde. We take it for a little drive now. So just to give you a little bit about the car, this is a 5 litre V8 24 valve. It's a naturally aspirated engine, so I think it was aimed at the kind of people who wanted that bit of luxury and power but didn't want to go for the AMG. This kind of car as new would have been costing excess of about £45,000, which compared to the E55 you'd have been looking north of 65,000, and considering this car does 60 in 5.8 seconds, which is only 1 second off the mighty 500 brake horsepower E55, I think it's still a lot of car for the money, and I think it's an absolute beast of a car. But I mean, if you think about it, if you get the E55 AMG, you'd be paying north of 60 grand for a new one, and then you would have had the supercharged engine, which was nice. But if you didn't need all that, you just need a nice luxury car, 500 is always the way to go. Absolutely beautiful. We'll take it for a drive, see what you think. It's very comfortable, I must say, to start with. It drives, purrs like a kitten, absolutely lovely. You know, that 5 litre engine just doesn't struggle at all. It's absolutely effortless, pulls away so nicely. And I think this car does have a custom exhaust done on it, that's why it sounds a little bit throatier than normal. But otherwise, I think even naturally, as they come, they have a nice sound to them. So yeah, it's a beautiful car. I mean, it has all the dual zone climate control, which is a nice feature to have. This one has heated and cooled seats, which is nice. And you look at this dash and it's lovely. It's got, you know, a nice wood grain finish. There's leather everywhere. There's, you know, the leather on the dash. Nothing in this car feels cheap. It has a airmatic suspension, so we've currently got it in a sport setting at the moment, which will make it quite stiff to drive. But it's always nice because it gives you that nicer handling when it's in that harder sport setting, which is nice to have. And we've got a bit of open road in front, and then we'll put it down a little bit and see how it responds. But generally, I mean, driving around, it's so nice to drive. It's such a comfortable car. I mean, even if you didn't want it to sort of have it as just for the power, it's a very elegant car. Being the Avantgarde, it's got all the little perks, all the little bits and bobs that you'd want out of a Mercedes. And obviously it has the three-pointed star, which is, you know, a nice status within itself. It's always nice to own a Mercedes. And as you can see now, pulling away, it's not shy. It certainly goes, and that sound is absolutely beautiful. It just sounds so nice, and it just pulls away so well. Such a lovely car to drive. And to be fair, even in the sports suspension setting too, it's not a bad drive. I mean, I'm actually driving it in sport now, which is so that the rev counter does rev a little bit higher. But generally, even the suspension, I would have thought would be a lot more stiff in the sport. But look at that, you listen to that engine. Oh, it's lovely. Absolutely sublime. It's beautiful. I could drive this as a daily every day if I could afford to put the fuel in. But I mean, they're supposed to do about 25 mpg, but I mean, if you're going to push them, then you'll be lucky to get 16, 17 out of one of these. But otherwise, if you, I suppose, as a motorway cruiser, it would achieve that 20, 25 mpg. But it's, I don't think it's a massive thing when you're driving one of these, what the fuel consumption is. Most people are going to buy one, they're not really going to be overly worried about fuel consumption. If that's what you're looking for, then obviously the W211 offers a lot of diesel versions and a lot of smaller petrol versions. So you've got the E200, you've got the E220 CDI, which is the diesel engine, and an E320 diesel engine, which is a V6 diesel. So I mean, there is a lot more options in terms of if you want something which is more fuel economic. But if you're looking for something which has got a nice bit of power, nice bit of sound, looks nice when you go out in the evening to the pub with the lads, feels nice to drive, and it gives you that nice kind of muscle car feeling, if you like. I know I've used that phrase before, but I think in terms of drive, it drives a lot like the W210 E55 that I did earlier on the channel. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. And if you like this video, like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any videos. We've got lots more stuff coming up. We do loads of these kind of cars on the channel. And yeah, I mean, generally such a lovely car to drive, and it's got all the little bits and bobs that you'd want. This one has got a tilt and slide sunroof as well. You can feel those bumps though in sport, so what I'll probably do now is knock it back up to comfort so it's a bit softer. Straight away you feel the suspension little it actually has a vehicle rise as well on these, so that if you're going over speed bumps or anything like that, you can raise the vehicle, which makes it a lot better for going over potholes and things. If you know the road's a bit rough, you can raise the vehicle, which is a good option to have. So the airmatic suspension is quite good on these. I think the earlier cars, the old S-classes and things, they had the other suspension system, which was quite problematic, but the airmatic is quite a good system to have. So obviously you're going to get problems depending on the age of the car, but when you think about what you can buy one of these for, it's not a bad buy. I mean, I had a quick look online, and they range from about 3,000 all the way up to about 10,000, depending on the age, the mileage and the spec you want. This particular car's done 190,000 miles. So you know, it depends really. It's all about maintenance and what mileage the car's done, then you could base it off that. But I wouldn't shy away from a high mileage car, because at the end of the day, if it's been maintained well, it's still a good car. And as you can see with this one, it drives absolutely beautiful. If I couldn't see that mileage on there, I would never have guessed it's done 193. It drives like it's done under 100,000 miles, you know. It's absolutely beautiful. And to be fair, these engines are pretty much bulletproof, you know, they go on forever. Good Mercedes V8 engines, can't beat them, to be fair. And the older Mercs, the 500s, were always the pick of the choice. The E-Class 500 is quite rare now, if you like. There's not many about, because more people chose the E55. Oh, just feel that. Oh, those back wheels going a little bit there. Absolutely beautiful. And you do, even on the dry road like today, you do feel that wheel spin on the back wheels, even with these large alloy wheels which are spaced out on this car, but it still manages to spin those wheels. And I mean, realistically, how much more power do you want out of a car? If you want something super powerful, then you're not going to buy an E-Class, are you? You know, but look at that. It's beautiful. You can't touch it. I mean, I think in this era, BMW made the 545, which would be a nice comparison for this car. But even them, there's not many around. That's the E60 545. But there's not a lot of them about either, so I'd put them in the same sort of bracket. But if you're looking for sort of 5-litre petrol Mercedes, then I think this is definitely the one. Unless, of course, you want to spend out a little bit more and go for the E55, which is the compressor version, which is supercharged. This car boasts 300 brake horsepower, which is fair enough for this car. It's quite nice, and I think it's definitely put out onto the wheels because it goes quite well. You're going to get your obvious problems with these older cars, which you can always look out for. You know, Mercedes do suffer from a lot of corrosion, so always check around the car for corrosion. Service history, always look at what the service history is like, and if it's quite well stamped up, then really it's a no-brainer. But you'll always drive the car and see what you think. But overall, as a review, I'd definitely recommend one of these if somebody's looking for something in this kind of category, and you're not going to be upset with the power or the comfort. I think it ticks all those boxes. Something a little bit newer, it's a little bit more modern, then yeah, you know, this is not a brand new car. As you can see, it's a 2004, so you know, you're probably something like this, you're gonna think it's nearly, you know, 20 years old. So as long as you're happy with that, you can live with that, then it's fine. But if you're looking for something which is sort of like a, you know, I mean, if you're looking for something a bit more modern, then yeah, the newer shape E-Class of these are nice, and there's a variation of different types of models which you can look at, and they are nice cars to own. But personally, I prefer the W211 over that shape, and I do really like this shape of car. And to be fair, even more, I like the W210, which is just I think the older cars do appeal to me a little bit more. But generally a very nice car, and really, to wrap it up in conclusion, I think you're not going to go wrong if you buy one of these. As long as you can put the fuel in, it's all good. And it's, in terms of future values, I don't think it's going to go any lower than they are now because of how rare they are. I mean, you look online now and there's probably about 4 or 5 for sale, and I did have a quick look on how many left, and there's, you know, they're in the 3 figures number, so there's in the hundreds, so there's 200s or 300s left on the road. So you know, there's less and less of them, and as they get on, whether people hang on to them or whether they end up going to, you know, to the breakers. So that's it really. In conclusion, I think it's definitely a lovely car to drive, and beautiful car. If you've got any questions, drop me a message. Like if you like the video, subscribe. I've got loads more cars coming through. We've got some more Mercs coming through, more BMs, some Jags, some Range Rovers, and lots of different cars. And if you've got any questions, just give me a shout. Always be happy to have a question, answer any questions you have. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Actually, I got a bit of straight here, so I thought I'd do one last launch before we go because it's so much fun. Here we go. Absolutely fantastic. Just wants to keep going. Absolutely beautiful. Puts a smile on my face every time. Right guys, that's all for me today. See you later. All the best. Signing out. Take care.